following program is sponsored in part by To a Woman's Heart. The thoughts and views expressed by the following production don't necessarily reflect those of the network or any sponsors. Rainbow Room Publishing Live, starting in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, Froggy went a-courtin' and he did ride. Crambone, Crambone. Froggy went a-courtin' and he did ride. Crambone, Crambone. Froggy went a-courtin' and he did ride. Froggy went a-courtin' and he did ride. Froggy went a-courtin' and he did ride. Crambone, Crambone. Little Hopalong is back with Crambone, the gospel trap remix from the self-titled album, including other hits like Gotta Move This Weight, She Gon' Get This Package, featuring Tariq from Abbott Elementary, The Only Snakes I Like Are On My Feet, and other great hits. Look for those tracks coming soon, and get your copies of From a Black Perspective, The People, today. Don't miss out on the awesome upcoming virtual reading and Q&A event featuring all of our amazing authors. It's going to be a great time with a number of great prizes. We're looking forward to seeing you there. Crambo!
Hi, my name is Robin Easley, and I am the owner of Pineapple Grenade by Robin. Just wanted to spend some more time with the contributing authors to The People from a Black perspective before we actually go into the virtual reading. Today, we're actually going to be hearing from Renna Thomas. We're also going to be hearing from Senia Haynes, King Compton, and Dr. Tamara Hill. Renna Thomas, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you, Robin?
Doing very well. So as the creator and visionary behind To a Woman's Heart, and also being the president of a not-for-profit organization, Sisters of the Hood, your story was very compelling to me, as it seems that you're in the realm of developing and empowering women every day. You are a new contributing author to The People. And My House Cried Tears is the literary work in that piece. Can you discuss with me how you effectively leverage your experience and knowledge about giving a child too much responsibility today to prevent causing negative impact in the people who surround you?
First of all, parents don't come with instruction books. That's one thing that we learn as we get older. But
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think because of their prior experience, see, what happens in your past determines your present and defines your future. So whatever you experience in your past, you think it's right until you know better. So with my parents, they thought what they was doing was right because that's all they knew. They didn't know anything else. So communication, as I stated earlier, is the key. And you have to understand each child is different. You can't put too much weight on a child as they're growing up, because a lot of them, you may think mentally they can handle it and emotionally they can handle it. They cannot. It's too much of a burden. So as we get older, we learn not to hold them accountable for the things that they didn't know.
Yes, ma'am.
So we're learning as we go. Impactful for me, it was letting go. I had to let go a lot of stuff because it was a weight that was really heavy that I carried, as you see in the book, from the things that I experienced and what I tried to do to myself. So I had to unpack a lot of things, because being the oldest, and in most households back then, the oldest carried the buck of the burden for the rest of the siblings that was behind them.
Now, thank you so much for your feedback regarding some symbolization that I'm hearing from you about unpacking or getting through some unprocessed trauma. In My House Cried Tears, I automatically started to think about that secret closet that you go into, for instance, when you go into prayer. And I'm thinking that with your temple being your own house and how you try to preserve that place, you talked about several traumatic events leading up to you internalizing your feelings to cope rather than being vocal about them or expressing them. Do you believe that you were actually validated as a child?
Not as much. Not as much. I think my younger siblings got the validation. I just got the responsibility.
Yes.
That's it, and that's all. You're the oldest. You need to show them, but I'm not the parent. I'm still the child. You understand what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? So roles are kind of being reversed, and for me, it was a lot to try to put in the proper buckets. But as you're growing, and you think that they should be the guide and the teacher and what you should do, it's not as easy. It's not as easy at all. So it was very traumatic for me, and I took in a lot of stuff, and I held on it so much so that I got to a point of explosion. You know what I'm
Mm-hmm.
saying? Like I felt like what I was doing, my life didn't have any purpose. It didn't matter. So that's why I did what I did.
Now, being an adult, do you feel like there has been negative impact that you're constantly using that area to focus on developing yourself as a woman, even now as a two-time author?
No, now I use it as a motivator for people that I run across. I now understand that everything I've been through had purpose. Like the loss of my child had purpose. I saved another child's life that a mother was potentially going to abort a baby. And by
Yes.
telling my story and providing the obituary, that child's life was saved.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes God uses it as a vessel. We think that it's harsh for us, but it's just a tunnel for us to learn some things to help somebody else.
Well, I just want to thank you so much for contributing to the people. It's truly a significant difference between the blood in that while there were unprocessed traumas and eventually yielding healing, I believe that this piece is really cultivating the people and how we can actually utilize healing in our day-to-day going forward. So thank you for your piece. My House Cries Tears, Renee, and then also we look forward to the larger literary works in both that have been published in this last month. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Robin.
You have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
Actor Harold Dennis in The Judas Run.
Can you get up? Where's the device, Miss Frank?
Pronouns.
So? What? Why you ain't talking? You did a lot of talking when you was up there. Now you got nothing to say to me.
I didn't invite you.
And fear.
All right, Stevens. If you could mess around with one famous black woman, who would it be? Don't hold back either.
I'm not gonna answer your question.
Man, loosen up. As you can see, there's nothing happening out here tonight. So, try to have some fun. Let's see. I'd go for Angela Bassett.
From A Black Estate, The Blood. Available now from any of our featured authors and at Rainbow Room Publishing. Contact actor Harold Dennis for all your acting needs at 99filmsonthewall@gmail.com. Now let's get back to the show.
This author is the creator and the vision behind To a Woman's Heart and has a mission to uplift, motivate, encourage, and empower women. She is the president of Sisters of the Hood, a not-for-profit organization that provides a holistic approach towards self-sufficiency for those in underserved communities. Her passion is to work with those less fortunate, and she is the author and also a contributor to the people with My House Cried Tears. We want to welcome Miss Renna Thomas. How are you, Renna?
I'm good, Robin. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'm great, thank you. We'll
Good.
go ahead and get started with your reading.
Okay. My childhood started out simple. All the normal things happened in my life. I did what normal kids do. When we lived on Madison, I went to Willow Catholic Grammar School. We stayed above a church. There was a restaurant right next door owned by Mr. Reynolds. Polycleaners was across the street, and the doctor's office was right down the street. Everything was in close proximity. We would always receive a scratch hot breakfast, lunch, and dinner. We girls very rarely ate restaurant food, and soda pops were out of order. We drank lemonade, Kool-Aid, iced tea, and water. Every time we ate dinner, it came with a dessert. My mother would get up before day to cook. My mother was a housewife, and my father was a construction worker. We had friends that lived up above us, and we had friends that stayed next door. The good part about that was the building was so close that we could climb out of our windows and go into the other's house. Our playtime consisted of throwing rocks at the rats in the fence. I used to love to eat grits and sausages, but one day my mother was cooking. I got a plate, piled it up with some grits, put my sugar and butter in them, and went back to get my sausages. I heard plop, plop, plop. There were at least 4 roaches that had fallen from around the light. Now, mind you, my mother was a clean woman, but the people who lived upstairs were so neat, so nasty. That was the last day I ate grits. We used to have to clean house faithfully on Fridays. I never had a problem with cleaning. My mother would go to the laundromat, and one day she came home. We had put on some of the clothes, and my sisters began to itch. My mother later found out that some fiberglass curtains had been washed in one of the washing machines. So she started running us some water and rubbing us down with calamine lotion. Not long after that, I developed tonsillitis, so much so that my whole face was swollen and my ears disappeared into my face. It looked like someone had blown air in my face. My mother was taking me to the doctor, and as I walked out the door waiting on my mother, I looked down the stairs and there was a prostitute in the hallway, squatting, using the bathroom. Someone had forgotten to lock the door. I ran back and told my mother. She said, "Don't worry about it. I'll clean it up." I thought that was the most disgusting thing ever. Why would you want to clean up someone else's mess? But she did when we got back from the doctor. My mother was so quiet, mild spoken, had the prettiest smile. My one sister loved to read and watch TV. I don't know if the other sister really had anything she loved to do. I was the cleaner. Fridays were a clean day, so we cleaned. We had this dining room set, and one of the chairs was broken. When you sat in it, the seat would go through and the legs would open up. I was told to discard the chair, so I sat on the back porch until I finished cleaning. Then I would take it all down to the garbage. It didn't make sense to run up and down the stairs. My daddy came home in a 3-piece suit and a job hat with a feather in it, and he wore Stacy Adams shoes. He proceeded to go out on the porch and sit down. I heard it crack. Before I could tell him not to sit in the chair, I ran to the door and he was going down the stairs. Mind you, the back stairs were winding wood stairs. His hat was still on his head and he was cussing down. I knew when he hit the bottom, I would get the whooping of my life. But at that time, I didn't care because it was funny as hell. When he got to the bottom, there was a porch, then a drop, and then the backyard. He hit the porch, dropped into the backyard, and slid right in between 2 garbage cans. He got up, dusted himself off, and I got my behind torn up. But it was okay. I got a good laugh. Right after that, I remember my mother saying we had to move. We were moving way west to a house and a park right across the street where we could play freely. My last experience before we moved off Madison was when Dr. King was assassinated. I remember being in school and I was the only one responsible for going and getting my 2 sisters. And then we would walk home. My mother knew from where we walked that we should be home at a specific time, but this day was different. School let out, and I got my sisters. People were running all over, bursting bottles, and I told my sisters, let's walk fast. When we reached the corner, my mother was standing at the bottom of the stairs. I was so happy to see her face. Not too long after we got home, my father arrived. We were instructed not to turn on any lights. The apartment was lit with candles for our light, and I sat in the living room window. My father and I watched them burn, break places into places of business, and steal TVs and clothes out of the cleaners. They broke into the drugstores and turned over cars. It was unbelievable, but it was happening right before my eyes. I asked my daddy why, and he said because Black people are mad. They murdered Martin Luther King. By the time daybreak hit, Madison Street was torn up and it would never be the same again. I couldn't fully understand why at the time. I just knew people were mad. Right after that, Madison Street became a part of my past, but I will always remember some parts.
Thank you so much for that reading, Renee. I just want to talk to you about that prostitute in the hallway. No, but seriously, growing up as a little girl, you had a lot of things that happened in this two-parent household that were for your good and some not. So this story, from what I read, I think that there was a timeline from like maybe 15 to 18 years that you discussed. And eventually you started to internalize your feelings because of the trauma you experienced. For example, your father ended up dragging you through the park and kicked you out of the family home. This was all due to a misunderstanding you were unable to explain to him because of his authority. Can you discuss with us how a lack of being able to communicate caused you to shut down? And how do you deal with yourself today and give yourself grace?
First, I had to understand that my father's mother passed when he was a baby. So he was
Mm-hmm.
tossed from household to household. His ideal of taking care was just paying bills. So he was not a touchy-feely kind of person. And so
Mm-hmm.
when he drugged me through the park, I was in disbelief because here he's my blood, not my stepfather. He is actually
Mm-hmm.
my real father. And the
Yes,
most
ma'am.
embarrassing part, it was in the middle of the summer, and everybody's outside in the middle of the summer. And I had to deal with that. And then to be his child and tell me I'm not welcome back in the house, that didn't sit well with me at all. So I feel like, I'm just a throwaway. That's how I really felt. I was
Mm-hmm.
being thrown away. I wasn't being cared for and I wasn't being loved. And so I internalized a lot of things. But then as I got older, I started to understand when you don't know yourself, when you don't know how to express love and you wasn't given the love that you needed, that's what happened to you. You pass it
Mm-hmm.
on. It's a domino effect. And so
Yeah.
I had to not hold him accountable for what he didn't know. And I had to take what I experienced and learn and try to share with others and help others with the trauma that I experienced.
Thank you so much for that, Renee. Um, there are quite a few comments speaking to maybe having some relatability there. What do you tell to the people that you inspire through your empowerment programs about how to deal with neglect where there was an intent?
I tell everybody your past determines your present, and your present defines your future. And the most important thing you can do is heal from your past so you can have a better present and future. If you don't know how to unpack, if you
Mm-hmm.
don't know how to heal and forgive and look at it that whoever the individual is conducting or doing the things to you and looking at it from their perspective. Because most of the time when we look at things, we look at it from our perspective, how we've been hurt. But we don't understand maybe there's a trauma on their side that they need to look at and try to digest it that way and not hold on to it. I mean, it's an experience and everything that we go through the message, there's always a message in the middle of the madness. And that's what I tell everybody I talk to.
And it looks like we have another meaty question here. How did the relationship with your father affect your adult relationships? Maybe start in your 20s.
My relationship with my father affected my adult relationship. I don't take no mess off of men, period.
Yes.
And I tell them, anybody that I date, that I had to take it from my father. He's my parent. But beyond that, I'm not required to accept disrespect. You treat me any kind of way, and you talk to me any kind of way. And that's probably why the reason that I'm single to this day, because of those situations that I dealt with. Uh, a lot of people, men don't understand when you relay that type of message, you're not dealing with that. I need to be respected. You need to talk to me in a certain tone. I can't handle that's a trigger for me. So
Yes,
I
ma'am.
won't deal with it. Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you shedding some light on your personal life and also how this story was developed tonight. I hope you have a wonderful one. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you later.
All right.
We're going to go into commercial break.
Surly, keep doing your thing, bro.
Step your t-shirt game up.
Surly.
Hello, my name is Tamika Lyons, and I am the founder and owner of Brown Babies Books. Brown Babies Books is a children and teens diverse reads bookstore based here in Chicago. We believe that children of color need to see themselves in the books that they read. Our store specializes in curating books for teens and children that have been written and illustrated by authors of color. Find us online, shop with us online, and like us on our socials at Brown Babies Books. Thank you. Now go and get those babies some new books.
Step your shirt game up with Surly Shirts, SURLY shirts.com, and visit